Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of United Talks Podcast. And today, we're basically going to be doing the 7 takeaways or the takeaways with regards to how the game panned out and everything in between. You know, we could go on and on talking about how many things went on in that game or went wrong in that game and all of that. But when you look at that game, Manchester United were missing almost all of their starting 11. We're missing almost all of our starting 11. Casemiro suspended, Mbeumo injured, Bruno Fernandes injured at the first half, Harry Maguire injured, Matheus Cunha injured, Mazraoui off to the AFCON, Amad Diallo off to the AFCON, and Mbeumo off to the AFCON. Tell me, with all confidence, that if Man United had this whole squad back, with Matheus Cunha in the lineup and everything, considering when we had that 5-game unbeaten run, that we will lose this game to Villa. But again, that is still not an excuse because some of these players need to step up. That's pretty much what it is. Some of these players need to step up. They need to step up to fill in the gaps. But then you look at the bench and you ask yourself the same question, like, what could Man United have done differently or what could Ruben Amorim have done differently other than invite the academic graduates as the media has been pushing it? And if you follow all of the media narratives, you might want to think that Ruben Amorim is not giving academic graduates their debuts and the entitlement mentality from the explosive interview and all of that. But he is trying to protect the academy players from situations like what we had against Villa. The same way he did when he protected the academy players from situations like this when we had it against Spurs last season. Now he's trying to protect the academy players from these kinds of situations like the Villa game, where we don't have players and they have to be put into the deep end to try to make things happen. I mean, I didn't expect that Shea Lacey would get an opportunity to try to score, but he got a shot on goal. I didn't expect that Fletcher would make any impact other than the amount of impacts he made in that game. Like, I didn't expect him to do more than what he did because he's really a young lad, he's 18 and all of that. So these are players, or 17, 18. Now, these are players that, okay, as time goes on, they're basically going to eventually be ingrained into the first team. But no, the media want to push an agenda based on the fact that he should be trying the academy boys. I remember one of the press conferences where Ruben Amorim was asked questions like, okay, you seem to be making defensive changes. But why don't you try to make attacking changes and all of that? Started giving him stats about how many defensive changes he's made. And he asked them a question like, okay, who should I bring that's an attacking change? And they were like, oh, I don't know, Shea Lacey. And I'm like, are you serious right now? And he explained to them, and that's one thing they don't understand. He explained to them that it is not in this moment of our rebuilding process that we now start to try to bring academic graduates. And I understood everything eventually, that these journalists are trying to poke the bear in Ruben Amorim, and in truth, it is not what we need at this moment. Now, we're going to do the takeaways, and we'll give you 5 takeaways, 2 bonus takeaways, and 3. We'll give you 3 bonus takeaways and 3 positive spins. So turn some of the negatives into positives. The first one is the midfield decimation and the tactical improv. So basically, the most glaring tactical narrative of this match was the absolute depletion of United's engine room, starting with Casemiro that was suspended, Mbeumo that was injured. It was actually difficult enough. Losing captain Bruno Fernandes at halftime also turned the headache into migraine. Basically, first, here's what Ruben Amorim did to adjust in-game. The manager decision was to move Lisandro Martinez into a central midfield, into the central midfield for the second half, and it was actually a bold move. Now, it takes me back to someone, I always focus on Ruben Amorim's press conferences. Listen back to some of the press conferences where they were asking him, oh, seeing as you don't have midfielders, why put Bruno in the deep line playmaking role? Now, seeing as you're putting Bruno in the deep line playmaking role, why don't you put Lisandro Martinez there? Why you move Bruno up and all that? It's just, I even saw like a big content creator. I don't want to mention his name because just for the sake of that, he came on X and he said that Bruno's injury is the reason why Bruno's injury is as a result of Ruben Amorim playing him in a deeper role. I'm like, even while Bruno was in the attacking role, he still used to drop back. He's the same person that came and said that Bruno does not track back. I'm like, it's so confusing. Like, it's so confusing, his wild takes. And it's those wild takes that he himself posts on X. But it is what it is. He posts the videos of wild takes. Even if you look at the bigger context, but his wild takes are just wild. Anyway, that's why they're wild takes anyway. Licha is known for his ball playing ability. Asking him to anchor the midfield against a high-flying Villa side highlights just how thin the squad was stretched, basically. And what was the result? Surprisingly, Licha Martinez adapted really well in the mood Argentinian, right? Creating chances and winning the ball high up the pitch, picking Kamara's pocket. I mean, it suggests a viable emergency option for the future, even if it wasn't enough to secure a point here. And it would have been, because we were the better team. We had control, even with Licha in midfield. Yeah, we lost a bit of possession, but then with Licha in midfield, we had more control. Now, with number 2, there was the Morgan Rogers factor. And ultimately, football is often decided by individual brilliance, and Morgan Rogers was the difference maker. With regards to the contrast to this, while United hunted in packs and controlled large parts of the game, Rogers provided a ruthless efficiency that Villa needed. He was kept silent for long stretches, a credit to United's pressing, but, you know, his 2 moments of quality, both from outside the edge of the box, and were unstoppable. Now you have to think about it from perspective of, during the live watch along, I was saying something. I said, why should someone like Euro switch off at that point, or jog slowly at that point, instead of defending him? And when he dropped his shoulder, why allowing him to come to his right foot? Right now, the defensive lesson here is that that Rogers was given a yard for the second goal against a player in such red hot form. You know, that split second lapsing, closing down proved vital, especially with Euro. And some people will come on here and tell me that that with Euro Euro, it is difficult to kind of say, oh, he's a young lad and Bruno is blaming him or anything, without actually focusing on the context that this guy is actually a young lad and he's cost us goals. But in the end, he's growing, right? But it does not stop him from criticisms, because people or players, professional players, have gone through these phases. But it is what it is. Takes us to number 3, which is the AFCON and the skeleton squad. Now, the timing of the AFCON, that's the AFCON Cup of Nations, has hit United harder than most. Losing Mbeumo, Amad and Mazraoui entirely the right side of our defense simultaneously stripped the team of the vital width and creativity, and our pressure as well, and chance creation. Albeit, Mbeumo has barely been in good form the last 4 or 5 games. So it is expected that he needed to go, and then when he comes back, things would have kind of changed, right? The impact of this is that United were forced to rely on Patrick Dogo and Matheus Cunha to carry the attacking load, especially from the left side, while they performed admirably. The lack of experienced options off the bench to change the game prior to the youth debuts were evident. Now, the squad depth is actually currently non-existent. Basically, no one to change to. In as much as these guys in the media would want to say, "Oh, why don't you make these changes?" You look at the bench, you're like, who is it changing? Right? Who is it bringing on? Right? What are the chances that if Mbeumo had played this game, if he wasn't injured, he would have stopped Man United from conceding goals, considering the fact that we had lacked a defensive midfielder? But the so-called defensive midfielder in Manuel Ugarte did really well on the day against public opinion or public idea, because he was tackling, was holding the fort, and it came off. And as it came off, we conceded. So I don't know, but it is what it is. Which takes me to the next one, Matheus Cunha, the talisman's burden. With Fernandes off and the wingers off at AFCON, Matheus Cunha actually became the focal point. The good part about it was that he scored a well-taken goal and was consistently threatening from range. He stepped up as the senior attacker. Now, the what if moment with this is that the report highlights a big. So the what if moment with this is that that basically from the game it highlights a big moment, which was ultimately to prove costly. Cunha's missed header from Dogu's cross. For a player like Patrick Dogu, who's been accused of not being able to cross, in tight away games against top four rivals like Aston Villa, conversion rates define the results. Let's forget about sentiments and emotions. Cunha did everything right, but the finish that was in that crucial moment was the only smear on his gameplay and his stat. Which takes us to our form, our away form, and which is number 5, the end of the Road Warriors. The defeat snaps a significant streak of resilience. United hadn't lost away in 85 days since Brentford and had scored 2+ goals in 5 consecutive away matches. And now we've scored only 1 against Villa. Losing the streak hurts, but the context matters. It took Villa's side winning their 7th straight home and 10th in all competition to finally break United's resilience. The fortress of Villa Park is real, and United competed toe-to-toe despite the circumstances and stuff. Now, if we're going to go straight to bonus takeaways from all of this, Patrick Dogu is ready for the big stage. Against public opinion and thoughts and all the things that people were saying about Patrick Dogu and everything in between. Patrick Dogu delivered. It was his press that led us to get the goal, right? The young wide player implied it is implied that this young player played a significant role and was the bright spark. He provided the assist for Cunha's goal and delivered the excellent center for Cunha's missed header. Like he crossed the ball that Cunha missed. In the absence of Mbeumo and Amad, Dogu proved that he can also be creative, not just a passenger in this team. He was doing really well, winning fouls and stuff. Then Senna Lamans in the spotlight. That's number 2 bonus takeaway. Senna Lamans stepped in when needed, made some saves too as well. I think made 2 saves in the game. He made an alert save from McGinn earlier on, while he conceded 2 goals. Both were high quality strikes from Morgan Rogers. That few goalkeepers would save, it was a baptism of fire. But he didn't seem to crumble under the pressure. And the truth is, he's 23. He has a whole lot in front of him, just like the way De Gea came when De Gea started at Man United. So it is key for us to kind of give him some time to build his momentum and all of that. With Šeško, which is number 3 bonus takeaway, Šeško versus Emi Martinez, the battle between Benjamin Šeško and Emi Martinez was a microcosm of the match. Šeško did well to turn and shoot, but also Martinez was outstanding. Now, United created chances to score more than 1, but they ran into arguably the world's best goalkeeper in top form. Now, I said this because I knew during the game, before the game, that I said, what are the odds that Emi Martinez will come back from his injury because of Man United? And my thoughts were proven, because he came back, and albeit we could tell that he was not in form, he was not like in top shape, but he still came back and tried to stop United from scoring, which he has scored. Now we're going to talk about positive spins from all of this. One thing I can say, and I noticed during the game, is that the kids are all right. In the face of adversity, the manager threw in Jack Fletcher and Shea Lacey into the fire for their senior debut. Lacey even skipped the challenge and unleashed a blockbuster shot. This experience is invaluable. Losing is painful, but flooding 2 academy talents in a high-pressure environment at Villa Park will pay dividends for their development. With regards to that, to pay dividends for their development, I'm just thinking, as I'm just kind of analyzing this, that what if Shea Lacey managed to score? It would be crazy, man. What if he managed to score from that whipping shot and it was not straight at the keeper, it was at the bottom left of the bottom right keeper. That would be amazing. But it is what it is. We have to just move on, and we have to just take what we have and move to the next one and hope that Man United can come up with the goods in the next game, especially against a very tough Newcastle. Takes us to number 2 again. Fighting spirit intact despite falling behind. So the fighting spirit, despite falling behind twice and losing Bruno Fernandes, Man United responded to setback and refused to allow Villa a moment. The team did not fold or lose their shape. They kept pushing until the final whistle and Mount's free kick as well. The mentality of the squad remains strong even when the personnel is weak. Also, we have to look at the tactical versatility, which is the final point of this whole positive takeaways. Ruben Amorim unlocked tactical versatility, and we discovered a new tool in the tactical toolkit, and that is midfielder Lisandro Martinez. It's not new, but he looked awkward in that midfield position because it's like a defender or a centre-back playing midfield. And it's like he's a bit deeper than usual, albeit he pressed when needed, but he's a bit deeper than usual midfielders who are very mobile and stuff. And considering someone who came from an ACL injury, you don't just throw him in the deep end for a very, very tough task. What you do is you build him up slowly, build up his performance slowly until he gets match rhythm and match speed. Which takes me to the last one, which is the tactical versatility, which is unlocked, like as I just described, right? Now, knowing that Licha can step into the pivot and actually dictate play, finding Mount with great passes, gives the manager a fascinating option for future injury crisis or specific tactical setups requiring extreme aggression in midfield. I would advise against an extreme aggression in midfield with regards to Lisandro Martinez, because you want to protect him. He's so injury prone. You want to protect him, cover him, cutting wall and stuff. But it is what it is. I just really feel like this game, the better team lost. Like, in as much as we want to deny it, the better team lost. Seeing the whole of Amorim outers coming out now, they're so loud. But I'm also happy that some of the other ones, the bigger ones, are beginning to come to, even though being realistic, but they're beginning to come to the understanding of what Ruben Amorim has been saying for weeks on end. Basically trying to defend this team, but also trying to defend his own integrity and his own personality and his style of play and stuff. But it is what it is. One of those things we have to just kind of take from what he has said and build from there. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing. We will most likely feature a guest again this week, like we did last week with Isaiah Cordero. I haven't decided what who that will be, but also, don't forget to like all the videos we've posted. Don't forget to share and subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't have to miss anything as it relates to Manchester United. Also, put in the comment section what you thought about the game. And for those who say Bruno is a stars merchant, now we don't have Bruno for a couple weeks. Based on what I'm seeing and hearing, he's going to be out for a while. So it's like, yeah, how we will cope. For those who are saying Bruno is a stars merchant, welcome to no Bruno for the next couple weeks. For those who say Kobe Manu should start if he's not injured, welcome to playing more games and showing us that you can actually lead or take this midfield to the next level. It is what it is. We have to just build what we have, right? So let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section, and we'll continue to give you breakdowns as like these. But also don't forget to like the video so that the algorithm can pick it up and we can actually get people to actually be more educated with regards to all things Manchester United. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Goodbye and God bless.